Professional registration is being called to order. I should call the roll.
Chairman Brown,
Here.
Senator Berger,
Here.
Senator Brown, Senator Huff, Senator Lewis, Senator McCreary, Senator Schroer. Yep, cool.
We have a quorum. Today we're going to be hearing 4 bills. First up is House Bill 596. Representative Chris Brown, whenever you're ready.
Chairman Brown, Vice Chairman Senator Berger, Senators, thank you for time and opportunity today to hear House Bill 596. I would classify House Bill 596 as a compliance bill related to the residential real estate industry, residential sales. At the conclusion of a lawsuit here in Missouri last year, Burnett versus the National Association of Realtors, some substantive and procedural changes have been made in how simply a home is sold nationally. And what we're going to do is we're going to strike out literally 2 words in Section 339 dealing with agency agreement between a real estate agent and then a prospective buyer. As the statute reads now, it starts out, and I am reading in paragraph 3 from Section 339. The language reads as such. It says, before or while, and those are the 2 key words, or while engaging in any acts, a designated broker, real estate broker, acting as a single agent for a buyer or tenant shall enter into a written agency agreement. The change is we're taking out the words or while to comply with the decision made in Burnett. So in just a practical sense, if you're looking to purchase a home, or maybe even remember this from when you possibly purchased a home, that buyer's agent who represents you now, before they get you inside that house, before you go behind that front door, they're going to have you sign a buyer's agency agreement. You know, they're going to talk about, the services they provide. They're probably going to talk about how the commission works, all that jazz, before they get you behind that front door. As it is written now, that buyer's agent may go out and show you homes for a couple weekends, and just at some point in time, before they actually do that contract with you, to purchase, that purchase contract, a lot of times they would maybe, have you sign that buyer's agency agreement at that point in time. So anyway, in complying with the court's decision, now they will just simply need to do that prior to actually getting you behind that front door. And in all honesty, this is kind of a liability protection bill for everybody. It protects the real estate agent, it protects the consumer. So anyway, that's the change we're going to make. Very simple. We had this on the consent calendar in the House. As of yet, there's not been one person opposed to this bill. So with that, I'll be happy to take questions.
So really what this bill does is take some words out and add some words, correct?
We're not adding any words. We're taking 2.
Okay.
We're just taking 2 out.
Before we go into testimony, I'm going to make a motion to move in executive session. I have a second. We're in executive session. I move that Senate Bill 206 be brought before the committee. Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is before the committee. I move that Senate Bill 206 be voted out of committee. Do pass. Do I have a second? I have a second. This is Senator Washington. She presented this, Senate Bill 206. It modifies provisions relating to emergency medical services, including ambulance district boards of directors, ambulance district audits, community paramedics, to the State Advisory Council of Emergency Medical Services, and ambulance licenses. Is there any discussion on that bill? Hearing none, I shall call the roll to vote. Senate Bill 206 out of committee. Do pass.
Chairman Brown,
Aye.
Senator Berger,
Aye.
Senator Brown,
Aye.
Senator Huff, Senator Lewis, Senator McCreary, Senator Schroer. 6-0.
By the vote of 6-0, the motion carries, and we will leave the board open for those members that cannot be here right now, because I know there's some stuff going on with appropriations. I now move that Senate Bill 635 be brought before the committee. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is before the committee. I move that Senate Bill 635 be voted out of committee. Do pass. Do I have a second? I have a second. This is Senator Curtis Gregory's. He presented this Senate Bill 635 that modifies the Health Professional Student Loan Repayment Program to be the Missouri Student Loan Repayment Program. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, ask for call the roll to vote. Senate Bill 635 out of committee do pass.
Chairman Brown,
Aye.
Senator Berger,
Aye.
Senator Brown,
Aye.
Senator Huff, Senator Lewis,
Aye.
Senator McCreary,
Aye.
Senator Schroer.
Aye.
6-0.
By your vote of 6-0, the motion carries. I now move that Senate Bill 832 be brought before the committee. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is before the committee. I move that Senate Bill 832 be voted out of committee. Do pass. Do I have a second? I have a second. This is Senator Black's bill. He presented this, Senate Bill 832. It provides that advanced practice registered nurses and physicians assistants delegated controlled substance prescriptive authority pursuant to a collaborative practice arrangement may prescribe hydrocodone and Schedule II drugs. Say that 4 times real fast. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, ask to call the roll to vote Senate Bill 832 out of committee. Do pass.
Chairman Brown,
Aye.
Senator Berger,
Aye.
Senator Brown,
Aye.
Senator Huff, Senator Lewis,
Aye.
Senator McCreary,
Aye.
Senator Schroer.
Aye.
6-0.
By your vote of 6-0, the motion carries. I now move that House Bill 269 be brought before the committee. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is before the committee. I move that House Bill 269 be voted out of committee. Do pass. Do I have a second? I have a second. House Bill 269 is a child care tax credit presented by Representative Shields. Is there any discussion on that bill? Hearing none, I shall call the roll to vote. House Bill 269 out of committee. Do pass.
Chairman Brown,
Aye.
Senator Berger,
Aye.
Senator Brown, Senator Huff, Senator Lewis, Senator McCreary, Senator Schroer. 4-2.
By your vote of 4-2, the motion carries. I now move that Senate Bill 144 be brought before the committee. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is before the committee. This is Senator Schroer and Senator Lewis. They presented this Senate Bill 144 and Senate Bill 179, respectively. I have a committee substitute, I think has been distributed to everybody, ending in .02C. The committee substitute was distributed by Senator Schroer. It rolls both those bills together in one. Senator Schroer, Lewis, would either one of you care to explain the substitute?
Yeah, so this is combining both of the bills, and Senator Lewis had a provision on the Schedule IIs, I believe. So we put that in mine as well, and would ask for your support.
I now move for the adoption of the committee substitute. I have a second. I have a second. Is there any discussion on that adoption? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting committee substitute say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The substitute is adopted. I now move that Senate Bill 144 and 179 as amended by the committee substitute be voted out. Do pass. Do I have a second? I have a second. Is there any discussion on that? Ask to call the roll to vote Senate Bill 144 and 179 out of committee. Do pass.
Chairman Brown,
Aye.
Senator Berger,
Aye.
Senator Brown,
Aye.
Senator Huff, Senator Lewis, Senator McCreary,
Aye.
Senator Schroer.
Aye.
6-0.
By your vote of 6-0, the motion carries. I now make a motion to move out of executive session, resume a regular hearing. I have a second. We are out of executive session. First up to testify in favor of Representative Brown's bill. Whenever you're ready, please come forward.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Jason Zamkis. I'm a registered lobbyist appearing on behalf of the Missouri Association of Realtors. As Representative Brown indicated, this is necessary for us to align our state's law with the terms of the National Settlement Agreement. In doing so, we align our buyer's agency requirements with our current law seller's agency requirements. And this provides a dual benefit in that it gives additional consumer protections to buyers so that they know what they're getting into before they walk in that first door. And also it provides additional litigation protection in the future, provided that real estate professionals follow the law as contemplated in this bill. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Are there any other witnesses testifying in favor of the bill? Are there any witnesses to testify in opposition to the bill? All right, Representative, do you have any closing comments?
I do not.
Thank you for your time. Next bill up is House Bill 397. Representative Peters, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chairman Brown, esteemed committee chairs,
Tara Peters, District 122. And so this bill is going to increase workforce development as well as expand health care for all Missourians in the realm of dietitians. Basically, our Phelps Health Hospital recently brought this to me last year. We had a dietitian that did not pass the test first time around and was employed by the hospital. And because of that, she did not have a license to practice even though she was under supervision. And so this created a workforce development issue, especially in our rural healthcare system. So this bill is going to basically, is simply enough, provide a temporary license for those dietitians that are, again, under supervision, that will allow them to still be employed until they can pass that test. The second important part of this bill is it's going to allow us to have a compact for dietitians so that we can expand health care along state lines. Basically, our dietitians that provide health care, telehealth, those types of things, there might be somebody in a different state, and this will allow them, if we pass a compact, to practice across state lines, as well as some other opportunities for military that we have coming in and out of the state that are dietitians. So basically, again, a simple bill. It's just going to help our dietitians do what they do best. And one last component I explained to Senator Brown is that the first 7 states originally who passed this compact were going to be allowed bargaining rights at that table. We were in a race with Arkansas to get this passed, I'm being told, and we have some those testifying behind me that will just say, if we pass this bill, any state by September, and again, they've expanded that to allow us to have rights at that bargaining table. So I hope that you will all support this bill, and at that time, I'll take any questions.
All right, thank you for your testimony. Are there any questions for this witness? Senator Lewis.
Hi, Senator.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Rep. Oh, hey.
Well, we've been working so closely together. Sorry. Hello, Representative.
Hi, Senator.
It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
I have a question. I think I've supported this in the past, but just to refresh my memory, is the temporary license renewable?
So the temporary license allows, if you don't pass the test, you have to wait 45 days to take the test again.
Okay.
And then it expands it to 180 days. And at the end of the 180 days, if you still have not passed, your license will be suspended.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
So if they
Okay.
keep failing, they can't practice in the temporary?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And I apologize to the committee for the lack of decorum.
Giving me false hope. Thanks, Senator.
All right, are there any other questions for Representative Peters? Senator McCreary.
Good morning, Representative.
Senator.
So with this testing, is it one of those things like the test is only available to take a couple times a year, or is it like a?
So you have to wait, once you fail the test, you have to wait 45 days.
Okay.
And then you can take it again.
Okay,
And
but
then
they
if you-
wouldn't hit a timeline of like, oops, sorry, we only do the test once a year, and so the timing doesn't work?
There are some restrictions. They only provide that test at certain dates throughout the year,
Yeah.
so it would be a timing thing.
Okay, but you think the way you've got the timeline, it would work?
I am assured by the dietitians that have helped with this bill that we hope that we close that loophole.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for the representative? Hearing none, are there any witnesses testify in favor of the bill? Whenever you're ready, please come forward.
Good morning. My name is Jean Howard, and I have been a practicing licensed registered dietitian for the last over 40 years. And I was part of the delegation to write the bill originally that made dietitians have a chance to be licensed. And this was an oversight that we did not address students who were graduating. So I'm hoping that you will support House Bill 397 to enable those students who have loans to pay and need to get on with their life, be able to practice under a supervising dietitian. Hospitals need these graduates, and these graduates need jobs. The other part of the bill, the compact, is very important for dietitians. It's very time-consuming to go through the process of being licensed in multiple states. And not only time-consuming, but it costs a lot of money too for them. And so this would enable them to have more leeway in where they practice, if they're a military spouse, and they won't have the trouble oh, I'm in another state for 3 months and I can't practice because it takes too long to get licensed. So thank you for hearing this, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you for your testimony and the questions for this witness. Hearing none, next witness to testify in favor of whenever you're ready.
Thank you and good morning. Thank you all for allowing us to speak today, and especially thank you to Representative Peters for filing this legislation. My name is Jordan Mize. I am a registered dietitian. I am an associate professor at Cox College in Springfield, and I'm also the public policy coordinator for the Missouri Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, which is a mouthful. But I am here today to testify in support of House Bill 397. And I really just want to share a story with you all. As a professor at Cox College, I have many students who would benefit from the passage of this bill. And I'm just going to share the most recent one. So last year we had a student who came to us from California, and he didn't know anyone when he moved to Springfield. And by the end of his 2 years through our program, he was able to develop a lot of positive relationships, had a really great rapport with individuals throughout the healthcare system. We work closely with Cox Health, and by the end of his 2 years, he was offered a position at Cox Health. He was approached by administration for a leadership position within the health system. And then come to find out that this temporary license piece didn't give him the ability to start practicing right away. He was going to have to wait to take his registration exam. Already had a master's degree, already had over 1,000 hours of supervised practice meeting the requirements for the exam, just didn't quite have that exam piece ready yet because of logistical and administrative things. So anyways, he was not able to then accept the position and moved back to California, now is a dietitian for the U.S. Navy, which is fantastic for our country, but really unfortunate for Springfield, Missouri, really a loss for our community and our profession here or locally. So I'm just urging you to support this bill and help improve that workforce kind of transition from student to professional and support the economic and health of Missouri. So thank you.
Thank you for your testimony and the questions for this witness. Hearing none.
Okay, thank you.
Next witness to testify in support of whenever you're ready.
Good morning. Thank you, Representative Peters, for filing this legislation, and to the committee for hearing us out and having the opportunity to be here to share on behalf of the dietitians across the state of Missouri. My name is Lori Adams, and I'm a registered dietitian for over the past 20 years, and I own a multi-state group practice that practices across 20 states. We have dietitians in multiple states, and so I'm here to speak to the impact that the compact would have for small business owners in Missouri. Right now, there's 9 states that have enacted the compact, and there are 14 more that are pending legislation. So for us to really stay competitive as small business owners, we have clients, primarily we work with eating disorder clients, so we have clients that are very long-term. And when they move out of state to go to, say, a state university, or there's a divorce within the family, or they travel for athletic competition, we really struggle to be able to meet the requirements of obtaining multiple state licensures. We spend thousands of dollars per each dietitian, which, can be quite consuming in terms of financial, but also just tracking the different requirements and ability to obtain those licensures in multiple states. So we had a dietitian that was working with a patient long-term, and they moved for university. She attempted to get licensure. This particular state required fingerprinting, and each time she went a series of 3 times, was unacceptable, like her fingerprints were not being accepted. And so eventually had to transfer this patient to another provider, which ultimately is not great continuity of care for the patient. They had to start over. And then for us, it was a loss of revenue. And for the patient, that provider wasn't in network with insurance, so they had a very high out-of-pocket costs. So, really just speaking to the fact of the financial cost, both for the practice itself, the dietitian, and then we also have military spouses. So each time one of our dietitians as a military spouse has to move states, they ultimately have to obtain a new licensure, which again is time-consuming, cost-consuming, and really a burden on the professional. So I would like to thank you for the opportunity speaking to you guys, and happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you for your testimony and the questions for this witness. Hearing none, next witness to testify in support of whenever you're ready.
Good morning, Senators. Thank you so much for letting me come and talk today, and thank you to Rep. Peters for bringing this. My name's Jennifer Bean. I'm a registered dietitian, nutritionist licensed to practice in the state of Missouri for about 20 years. I'm also an associate teaching professor at the University of Missouri in Columbia and the interim director of the dietetics program, the oldest coordinated program this side of the Mississippi. So my purpose today is to provide a bit of context regarding the compact as well as the temporary licensure piece. So if I may, one of the reasons that this is important is that there's an 11%, according to U.S. jobs labor statistics, there's an 11% increase in jobs for dietitians projected to occur before the year of 2028, and Missouri can meet this demand partially through this bill. So as you've heard my colleagues say, dietitians do face a complex process of obtaining multi-state licensure. And one thing that I do want to highlight with this is allowing, participating in the compact would allow for Missouri dietitians to stay in their community and contribute to their community while continuing to serve across state lines. So they're rooted, they're contributing to our local economy, serving our citizens, as well as expanding their reach beyond our state lines. So about the temporary licensure piece, it takes roughly 6 weeks as a program director to submit the appropriate documents to our registration and credentialing body. So that right there is time that students are not able to work, that are not able to be licensed. So students could obtain a temporary licensure while they're awaiting that administrative burden, that hurdle, which is, again, no fault of their own. And every institution has a different timeline for getting transcripts. And that's really the big hurdle here. So important, again, to emphasize that these participants, people who would be applying to the temporary licensure, have met over 1,000 hours of internship under the direct supervision of a licensed, credentialed professional. They have been a part of an accredited program that's accredited through the Council on Education for Dietetics and Nutrition, as well as U.S. Department of Education. So they are still continuing their learning while they're studying while working. And that's what we have evidence to show that's the best way to pass on the first try, is to work while you're studying. So by voting yes on this bill, you would enable Missouri, again, to be at the decision-making table, being a member of the Compact Commission. So other 9 states, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Utah, Ohio, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi have all enacted this. So they are our neighbor states that are enacting this. And by Missouri being at that commission, we are at that initial compact commission, and their job is to set the policies and procedures of that body. I do want to stress, though, that the compact commission does not have the power to define what the licensure is. That remains with the states. So this is simply how the interstate compact will work. So in conclusion, I'm asking you to please support House Bill 397 to ensure that Missouri's healthcare workforce has the infrastructure to address the shortage of dietitians, so that Missouri can participate in meeting the growing demands nationally for nutrition professionals, and especially that when decisions are made about Missouri, it's nothing about us without us. And thank you so much for letting me talk, and I'll be happy to answer questions.
Thank you for your testimony and the questions for this witness. Senator McCreary.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for what you're doing at the university. I'm on the board of a community health center, and we struggle to fill the dietitian slots. And one of the things that I've noticed, because we work with communities that have a lot of challenges, we always have same-day appointments available with dietitians, which I think is critical. Like once someone gets a diagnosis of maybe like kidney disease, you want them to go to talk to someone immediately so they can start making adaptations. Is this... I feel like this is a little bit about like addressing the urgency of it. This isn't, I think maybe I used to think dietitians were just to help people lose weight or, whatever.
Just make a food plan.
Yeah. But it's deeper than that, and it can involve some patients that are in pretty critical shape. So can you just, like kidney disease, what are some other?
Oh, absolutely. Kidney disease is certainly one that's a little more urgent, and I think that we, one of the oldest nutrition-related diseases that even Medicare and Medicaid would cover. But we are living in the way that our
daily habits are metabolic diseases is quite prevalent. It's harder to find someone without metabolic syndrome than with. And so that is diet and food choice and food behaviors are the primary ways to change that. And so those folks there are plenty. But when it comes to urgency, I think you heard my colleague Lori talk about folks with disordered eating patterns. Those are our younger folks oftentimes, and that is a lifelong battle that they have, and dietitians are absolutely instrumental. Of course, the metabolic, that's going to be heart disease like hypertension, atherosclerosis, it's going to be diabetes, all of those. And then any acute care. So if you have some sort of accident like a motor vehicle collision or something like that, and you're on machines that will help you breathe, that means you can't eat. And that means a dietitian's there to do that math in the background supporting you. So it's not only the outpatient, those ambulatory care conditions that are behavior choice, it is in the hospital working behind the scenes, because if you're not well nourished, none of those medical treatments will work effectively.
Well, right. You can't heal without proper nutrition. So very good. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Any other questions for the witness? Hearing none, thank you for your testimony. Are there any other witnesses testify in support of this bill? Whenever you're ready.
Good morning, Senators. Thank you. My name is Shannon Locke, and I am a representative of the Associated Students of the University of Missouri, and I really have nothing substantial to add to the testimony of these great providers, except to say that as a representative of ASUM, we are in support of House Bill 397, and I appreciate your consideration.
Are there any questions for this witness? Hearing none, thank you for your testimony. Next witness testify in support of.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Chance Epla here on behalf of Cox Health in Southwest Missouri, the broader healthcare system, and just want to go on record in support of this bill.
Thank you for your testimony. Are there any questions for this witness? Hearing none, next, are there any other witnesses testify in support of this bill? Any witnesses to testify in opposition to? Representative Peters, do you have any closing comments?
Thank you.
All right, thank you for bringing this bill up. Next bill, we're going to go out of order here a little bit. We're going to do Representative Cook's House Bill 313. Whenever you're ready, Benny.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members, for hearing House Bill 313. House Bill 313 is the State Advisory Council on Emergency Medical Services. This bill does a couple things here. One thing, it ensures that no fewer than 13 members can be on the board, and the board is also appointed, instead of by the governor, be appointed by DHSS. With that, I'll take any questions.
Are there any questions for the representative from the committee? Hearing none, are there any witnesses testify in favor of this bill? Whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee. Megan Howerton here on behalf of the Missouri Ambulance Association. So the State Advisory Council of EMS is purely an advisory council. It has no statute authority to make any kind of rules or policies. It's comprised of a number of different emergency healthcare providers, such as fire, EMS, air ambulance, emergency nurses, and emergency physicians, and so on. Basically, they go into a room and they hash out ideas, and they can only come up with recommendations of how to improve the EMS world of Missouri. We've had a hard time getting a quorum of the council due to some being deceased, not living in the state anymore, or some are wanting to retire. So therefore, we're wanting to ask the director of DHSS to make these appointments to streamline the process and get people to serve in this public service arena that is hugely important to the EMS community. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Are there questions for this witness? Hearing none, next witness testify in support of this legislation. Whenever you're ready.
Here in support of the bill, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Trent Ford, registered lobbyist for the Ambulance District Association of Missouri.
Are there any questions for this witness? Hearing none. Thank you for your testimony. It was riveting. Are there any other witnesses testifying in support of this bill? Whenever you're ready.
I don't know whether to follow that or not. And my name's David Barnes. I'm a representative for the Missouri Emergency Nurses Association, and we're in favor of this bill. We appreciate having an opportunity to have a voice at the table on what's going on in EMS in the state. And thank you for your support.
Thank you for your testimony and the questions for this witness. Hearing none, next witness to testify in support of whenever you're ready. Are there any witnesses testify in opposition? Representative Cook, do you have any final comments? I'm good. You're good. All right. Next up is House Bill 478. Representative Overking, whenever you're ready.
It was close. Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. House Bill 478, first off, my name is Philip Ollerking. I represent House District 100. House Bill 478 aims to address an issue by allowing it to be easier for skilled workers to relocate, find employment, and obtain a temporary 2-year license while completing educational licensing requirements here in the state. Missouri does offer a lot of license reciprocity for those with existing licenses. This bill expands it to include individuals with skills and qualifications from states without statewide licensure. The applicants must demonstrate relevant work experience through wage statements and employment background checks for which they must pay for. They must also pass necessary state or board exams. And this approach has been successful in other states, including 3 of our neighbors. And House Bill 478 ensures that Missouri remains competitive with states like Iowa, Kansas, and Mississippi, which have already adopted these reforms. House Bill 478 was amended to mirror Senate Bill 61, which passed out of this committee 6-0, and I believe also out of the Senate with large margins. And with that, I can take any further questions.
Thank you for your testimony. Are there any questions for this witness? Hearing none, are there any witnesses testify in support of whenever you're ready?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, James Harris representing FGA Action, here to go on the record in support of the underlying bill, House Bill 47, which is on pages 6 through 8. I know this bill's been perfected and third read out of this chamber. Just helps people in about 20 occupations that maybe aren't licensed in every state, and when they come to Missouri, right now they can't work. They'd have to go back to school, and this would provide them a pathway to keep working. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for your testimony and the questions for this witness. Hearing none, any witnesses testify in support of whenever you're ready.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Sam Licklider here for the Missouri Funeral Directors and Embalmers Association, specifically the language in the bill relating to embalmers and funeral directors. There's a lot of good stuff in this bill, and it probably ought to move, which is a really weird testimony, but what the hell. That's it.
Any questions of this witness? Anyone else? Thank you for your testimony.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the committee. Earl Scissors, representing the Independent Payroll Processors Association. We're here in support of the last 2 pages of this bill, which is cleanup language from the money modernization bill that was passed and signed into law last year.
Thank you for testimony. Any questions of this witness? Thank you. Anyone else to testify in support of?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Nancy Giddens here today representing United We, and we would like to go on record in support of this legislation. And I'd like to apologize, Senator Brown, because I missed yours.
Any questions of this witness? Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else to testify in support of?
Hey, Representative
Chair, members of the committee, Henry Talmock with the Missouri Pharmacy Association, as well as ARC's outreach to go on record as in support of Representative Olerking's bill. In it is a provision regarding pharmacists being able to immunize patients the same way they're doing right now. All it does is change the date from 2023 to 2025, and that date change authorizes them to administer the RSV vaccine to seniors and only seniors. And then there's an excluded vaccine that it's spelled very weirdly. It's called a chikungunya vaccine. It's a West Nile virus that if you're traveling to Africa, get the vaccine because you don't want that disease. So that's it.
Any questions of this witness? Thank you for your testimony. Anyone else is in support of?
Thank you, Chairman. Members of the committee, Megan Howerton here on behalf of the Missouri Speech, Language, and Hearing Association, specifically for the provision that deals with the licensure of speech language pathologists. We've actually heard this bill before in the same committee sponsored by Senator Tracy McCreary, and it passed out by 7-0, so we'd hope this bill passes too.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions of this witness? Thank you. Anyone else to testify in support of? Anyone in opposition to? Anyone for information purposes only? That concludes the hearing on House Bill 313. No further business coming before the committee. I now we are adjourned.